Hey everyone, welcome to October, where Amazon Gaming has given us 7 games for free this month. There is a couple other ones you can redeem through other sites I saw pop up, but we usually review the ones you have to install through the Amazon Gaming app. So let's get into it. So we only got 2 games that was really horror for October. It seemed like they changed it up a little bit with this mix. I think last year we got mostly horror games, but we'll cover the horror games first and then go into the rest. So we got Song of Horror Complete Edition, which came out in 2019. Metacritic score wasn't high enough to rate, but I was seeing 60s to 79s. Looking about $30 to buy the game normally and 18 hours of gameplay. And this is an episodic horror game. Basically, the story here is about a haunted house based on a music box. So a lot of people hear sounds and they end up going to it, and that's when they get captured. The epilogue kind of sets up a pretty cool storyline where then you get to play as 4 different characters. And the game is advertised to be a classic style, which that means fixed camera, third-person view, and you would probably recognize through some of these scenes that you got this familiar thing. Mostly they added mini games to this, but overall the environment was really well done. It was dark. You had this light mechanic that didn't take batteries, so that was good. But you can use it to look around. Some of them only had a candle or a lighter to look around, so that affected how the light was. And I thought that gave a good eerie feeling. Something I always look for in games, I don't know why, I guess because I'm used to them being so horrible. Stair physics are amazing here. They just hit each stair. Some reason that's always a highlight in the game for me. What I learned is the minigames can be kind of clunky. There's a minigame that I'll show at the end of this that's like trying to keep the presence, is what they kind of call it, out from the room. So you kind of play that, and there's some hiding stuff you have to do, which didn't feel as polished. The really cool thing about this game was with the 4 characters, they had the you're dead kind of rule where if your character died, you can't play as them anymore. If you lost all your characters in an episode, it would start over, and that's kind of where the negative came in. When you start it over, literally you start it over. Like you had to get all the same notes you had to find or the things to unlock the next part. It was starting all over, which was kind of annoying. To me, there wasn't no like fighting or anything. It was a lot of just searching and stuff, which I was never a fan of these type of horror games. I'm not a big horror game fan in general a lot of times, but this just kind of was boring, where I do like the more Resident Evil. I'm kind of shooting things a lot more and stuff. So I would say not a download. This is if you like them walker, cool environments, and kind of being on the edge of your seat a little bit with entering each room. This is the game for you. The not for me is pacing. I felt like I was looking for clues and trying to figure out what the next trigger was, and I was not a fan of that. Next up was a game I couldn't really find much information about, was Whiskey and Zombies. It came out in 2020, and it's $10 normally, but there's no reviews, and I honestly don't have a timeline of how long it is to beat this game. But this is the overhead shooter. I know I always bring up Smash TV for this, but this is your overhead shooter, like Enter the Gungeon and stuff like that. Storyline here is there's rednecks stuck in a zombie attack, and the only reason they weren't turned was because they were drunk all the time. So the game is based on collecting alcohol to make sure you don't turn into a zombie, and keeping your health up, and doing little objectives to get to the next area. The difficulty here was a little intense on this little first level, but my biggest complaint is normally I play a lot of these games on like the default color. Usually I'll up it one if they ask me to up it, but I don't try to adjust anything. And that made the zombies really hard to see, as you can see in the gameplay here. Like, I feel like they were coming out of everywhere, which I don't know if they were going for that feeling. It worked, but you do get overrun by zombies a lot, by noise and all, but I just did not have fun with this. I felt like there was better games that weren't really even zombie, like Enter the Gungeon's one I really liked, but this survival thing did not work for me. and I just had a hard time getting into, like, I have to kind of keep my character drunk the whole time, so I'm always looking for alcohol to carry and trying to keep health up and defend off a wave of zombies, and it just did not work for me, and I didn't get too far into this because of it, so I'll say not a download. The pro here is if you do like the overhead shooters, I would give it a try. I don't know if you would expect much more from it, but to me, it just didn't feel completely polished. I kind of wanted something a little different, and just with the added stuff of keeping your character drunk was not fun to me. Next up, yes, Secret Files 3. We are 3 for the 3 months of this series. So this came out in 2012. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this because we have seen this game many times in its iterations, but it is 67 on Metacritic, $10, 5 hours in length this time with a point and click. To continue, Nina gets hit in the head again. I don't know what is up with the series and having her get hit in the head, but she does all the time. And it kind of continues the same storyline of like this end of the world apocalypse and traveling and trying to find all the clues for this. Again, the puzzles were always okay to me. I didn't find them too crazy or like not really good at all, but they were very simple a lot of times. And I don't feel like I had much improvement from the last game. And I still stand by a not download on this. Why you would download this? If you've been keeping up with the series, you are in luck. You get the third one. Like, please play. The story is kind of cool. To me, the con really is, it's a mobile game. And this comes up when you first thing you interact with was a statue where you had to go back and forth. And on keyboard and mouse, you couldn't use the controls. You had to click the screen. And it just feels so much as a mobile game where I think this shines more there than on PC. Next up, we have a Telltale game. You know, I'm big into these. So we got Wallace and Gromit, which came out in 2009 with a Metacritic score around 72 to 76 for this 4-episode game. And $15 with 12 hours. You're looking about 2 to 3 hours for each episode. And this is a puzzle game. We're not quite into their movie games yet still. And this is the early interactions with it. I do want to say the first issue I had with this game was in Amazon. They didn't put the episode numbers. I kind of like playing the games in order. But I kind of found out while playing this, each episode is its own story, so it doesn't really matter. And when I went to the second game that came out, I noticed it, and I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense, but it was a little frustrating to play them like out of order or not figuring out until I had to do Wikipedia. This is Telltale game first big kind of license they got and made a game. And the graphics looks like the show. That was really wonderful. You felt like you're in the environment. I did enjoy the game overall, but I do wish it was more of a story than just 4 mini episodes. Like I said, it felt like I was watching 4 just different TV episodes that didn't link. The biggest problem I had, there was large hitboxes. Like I couldn't get to an area because like Wallace would be in the way, and I can't get past him to click on one thing. So I had to do something else until he finally moved. The other thing was the stationary camera, because just moving through scenes, I always have the D-pad problem. I'm pushing up, I get to the next little camera spot, and now up is back, and I'm all confused. Kind of annoying. So this game did have a lot of flaws, but for 09, I thought it did well, even though I'm not really into the Wallace and Gromit show much. I didn't find the humor too great to me. I would say download this. This was unique enough to have experience. It did make me kind of laugh, or it didn't laugh, I guess necessarily, it just entertained me enough. And that's the pro here. It kept me engaged. Like, as much as I was kind of on the fence about it, I was still playing it. And the con here, it is the point and click issues of doing certain events and finding things. The one big thing was you had to grab something from the kitchen to trap some bees in the first episode. And just setting that up is the whole backtracking and figuring out what you can take and what you can do. They do have a hint system, though, if you wanted to use that. Next up, we have Red Wings Ace in the Sky. And this came out in 2020. 62 on Metacritic, about $20 for a 4-hour game, which I thought was a little pricey looking at it. This is a generic air fighter pilot game, and it's very mobile-like. You go through each of these little 2-minute levels, and you get some points that you can buy upgrades. But overall, I was actually enjoying this. It was simple enough to play and enjoyable with the controller. The major complaint I had when I got to the upgrade screen was it didn't seem to like my controller moving around, so I had to kind of click to select stuff, but I didn't know what I was selecting. The little hint wouldn't move for me, so that was kind of annoying. But I did overall enjoy the powers. You have this barrel roll, which you can run into planes and not get damaged, quick turnaround and stuff like that. And the biggest thing I really liked was this art style. It was the cartoony, kind of cell shaded, which when you do your special move, it kind of shows pretty cool. But overall, they changed up the objectives. You have some time trials. You had enough to do, so I would say download it. And it's weird because the Pro here I have, it was a fun little game. I felt like you could play a couple levels, stop, and just kind of keep it like that. I really enjoyed that part. But the con here is I felt it was very mobile-based game, and I think it would do better there. Next up, we have Tiny Robots Recharge, which came out in 2021. And this is relatively new since it was about a month old from this recording. And it was $4, so we don't have many ratings or anything like that. And this is a puzzle game, again, built for mobile. You kind of move through each level, and you can get up to 3 stars for a level. So there's some replayability if you miss getting all the stars. And basically, you're a robot, and all your robot friends get captured, and you have to solve these 3D world puzzles. So basically, the world's on a square, and you can turn it around and figure out how to move things. And I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed the puzzles, nothing too overly complicated. Each world had 3 batteries you had to collect as well, and you had to do them under a certain time to get the 3 stars. The controls, though, is very mobile-based, but I kind of say put this as a download. I don't have much to say. I felt like the video explains a lot of the gameplay for you. And I would say it is cool 3D puzzles. And the main con here, like the other ones, was the mobile feel. I don't know why Amazon gets a lot of these mobile games that go to PC. But if you don't like that feeling, because that's what kind of made me a little decisive on the Red Wings and Tiny Robots. They were kind of cool games. I still said download, but I do see the mobile being way better. And that's something to consider there. If you did like the look of it and enjoy it, but don't want to play on PC, I would recommend getting the mobile because they are actually pretty good games. Last up, we have Blue Fire, a game that I always kept interested in looking up. Came out in 2021, and it finally came free on Amazon, so I got to play it. So this was a game I heard about before, seen playing it, and Gaines from this channel also played it, so I actually got to play it here. 70 on Metacritic, $20, and about 10 hours of gameplay. And I put this as an action platformer. First off, looking at this game, you'd see the Zelda-inspired game, and that's what a lot of people compare this to. The story here is kind of just to remove corruption, but there wasn't much involved with the story. To me, it just seemed like you kind of talked to random things, and there wasn't much there. The graphics is what really shines here. This cartoony style that looks like a GameCube Zelda game, and that's what it feels like, a Nintendo-style artwork for this game. And I really enjoyed this look, so I was happy with that. Like I said, it feels like Zelda, especially the combat side with like locking on, switching through, and just swinging the sword, had that. But what was different about this was the platformer more focused. You learn how to jump and learn a dash, and quickly you have to make a lot of jumps with using the dash, and it's a lot of time jumps. So they have these realms you can jump into that you had to do platforming in order to collect all these objects to continue on and gain another heart. But they got hard pretty fast. What you're seeing here is the second one in the game, and it got a little tricky. So it was like general platforming more focused on that. And this actually made it more difficult. I felt like enemies were hitting you harder than other games compared to this. And the cool feature is they do have the mechanic where you die, you have to go back to your ghost to collect everything. So you have that, but the negative here was there was no map. It was weird to play that. You have some backtracking to do, so it kind of makes it, you have to remember everything, and I'd rather have a map. But with that being said, I still highly recommend this as a download. This would be the pro here if you kind of like Zelda and you like these crazy platformers, or you wish Zelda's more of a crazy platformer. This is the game that's perfect for you. The con here is the little bit of difficulty. It just kind of jumps you in, and it shows with getting hit and all the platforming you're going to have to do. It's more intense. Anyways, I hope you liked October. I'm kind of glad I didn't get flooded with horror games, but that's not my genre. I try to rate them fairly. I just didn't like the two that came out with this one. We got a lot of games that felt better on mobile, so those are mixed. I wouldn't say download or not for me was like very one side or the other. They were both kind of closed and debated, and I actually changed the robots from not to download after playing it a little bit more. So that one's still on the fence, but I would say definitely Blue Fire is the game I would recommend for you to grab. Maybe that's why I'll start adding these. One game that I think you should grab at least. But that would be Blue Fire. Anyways, I'll see y'all next month.